Lads, how are we? You're both looking well. And Tank, we've already tested this, so I don't want to ruin the surprise for listeners. But it's like we're at a Barry Manilow concert. You sound that good here, lad. How are you?
Well, I've certainly got the nose, mate. I've got the nose. I'm
all
good,
the
mate.
people
I'm
to
good.
pick, how have you picked Barry Manilow?
I don't know where Barry Manilow, and I was looking at you both.
Where is that
I don't know.
from?
I don't know. I was looking at you both. So whether one of you reminds me of Barry Manilow or I don't know where that came from.
That'll be in putting the makeup on like Barry.
You're looking fresh, Jim. You had a little freshen up there just before we came on.
There's no business like show business, my mate.
You were showing us your temperature gauge. We were all having a proper English moan at the heat. How hot is it in your cabin there, Jim?
When I got in, it was 41, but currently it's saying 39.
Jeez.
Unbelievable.
I'm absolutely dying.
You got the powder out. You sorted yourself
powder
out.
Fresh.
No
still
shine
shiny,
on your
forehead. But I'll survive.
You've been a footy, Jim. Archie's back at it, is he?
Yeah, first session back at Burton Albion under 9s tonight, mate. And I can't believe it was on. It was so hot. I felt so sorry for them. But to be fair to them, they sort of wound the session in a bit, and they had a penalty shootout at the end, which were buzzing. Archie at the bar 3 times in a row.
Oh, you're joking.
Yeah, like literally 3 shots, 3 hit the bars.
How'd he handle it?
Oh, he sounded like he was like, if we were playing crossbar challenge, I would have won. But other than that,
I like that spin. I like that spin of positivity. Well, actually, the reason that I brought up kids football, obviously, I want to know how Archie's getting on, but it's a nice segue into something that was a bit of breaking news today. And obviously, Tank, you've been involved in obviously football for years, academies specifically. One of the breaking news stories that's coming out at the moment is the FA are going to trial removing heading for all age groups under the age of under 12. And if successful, they would fully remove it by the season 23-24. What's your reaction to this? Because it's caused a bit of a stir online. You got people stamping their feet, not happy with it at all. Where do you kind of sit on this one?
I just think it's a ridiculous thing to do. I mean, how are they going to test whether it's a success or not? On a serious note, how are they going to say, listen, that's been a great success? How do you know? Football, we're just becoming this woke society worldwide where we're just trying to change things for the sake of changing things. I've coached kids from the age of under 7 all the way up to the first team level. I've never actually had a single person, anyone say, that hurt me, that when I headed the ball. It's part of the game. So now the FA and there's idiots in suits making decisions who's probably never kicked the ball in their lives, and now coming along and saying your lads, they're a lot younger than Jack's 16 now. He's on his way, to doing whatever he's doing. Your 2 lads are a lot younger. So what you're going to do with your lads when this gets implemented is like, listen, what we've been teaching you and training you for the past 3-4 seasons when you love the game. Has your lads ever said, Dad, I don't want to head the ball, it hurts? Or if they ever said that hurts, or, it's the game, it's part of the game. So what we're going to do now is say, what you were doing last season when you had the ball, don't do that because the referee will blow his whistle and stop the game and you'll have to restart from the spot kick. That's not the game. And then when you're under 12, go, listen, what we've coached you from under 6, under 12, forget about that. That doesn't count no more. This is a new game where you head the ball. I mean, come on, what's going on with this world?
What about you, Jim? Because I suppose, and this is me playing devil's advocate now, I suppose there's been some high profile cases of dementia and the likes, and obviously from a medical point of view, I suppose there's concern about brains forming, rattling brains, that type of thing. I mean, I don't even know if you were at the training session, Jim. I learned to head the ball properly. I was terrible in the air until one day when I was 23 at training. I just became like Tim Cahill. It was ridiculous. I don't know what happened. So I wasn't
seen that, lad. I must have been there. I don't remember you being able to head the ball.
Oh, come on now. But yeah, it was funny. I was never really a big header of the ball as a kid, but I suppose where obviously you've got Archie who's finding his feet now, good little footballer. Is it something that concerns you as a parent? Do you agree with the ruling?
I do actually, yeah. I do actually agree with it. Not in the fact that I think they should cut it out, but having seen it from quite early, they're not allowed to practice anyway, so they're not allowed to practice headers. And
jeez, I feel bad now because I'm always whipping balls in for all lads.
This is it. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. Look, and you're talking small margins, aren't you? But as you say, like It's later on in life when they're repeating heading and constant heading. But having seen them in a match, they can't head it anyway. And, they stick their head in the way, and it 9 times out of 10, it bounces off and goes somewhere. So it could hurt. It can hurt. But they're not going to turn around and say, oh, that hurt that. So I actually don't mind it. I mean, I would prefer them to get used to playing footy and rather than trying to boot corners in. Because at the minute, for corners in our age group, it's who can kick the ball the furthest and hardest as opposed to who can put the best ball in. So I actually don't mind it, and I think it, as long as there's been processed thought around it, and there are obviously medical conditions getting older, but it's different. Balls are different, aren't they? So when
it's not the medicine ball now, is it?
You're not heading leather balls that are proper wet and about 15 times heavier. So.
Like, when you used to leave your footy in the garden for ages, and then you boot it and you got a dead head after it for ages.
So, look, I can take it or leave it. If they turn around and say tomorrow there's no heading, I'm easy, and I go, I'm all right with that. If you carry on going, heading again, I'm fine with it. So,
so what do you think? It's for me, honestly, it's nonsense. We're going on studies from players who played the game in 1940, 50, 60, 70. We're not going on any studies of plays from the 80s, 90s. Are we going to go back to, the 1800s where you just used to break someone's leg and say, well, we're going to stop tackling now because in 1830 we've got cases where a man broke his leg and it was really bad, and so there's no tackling. We're changing the game for nothing. It's ridiculous.
I had a funny feeling that in your head, Tank, you were worried about football becoming non-contact. Then you've got the likes of this shit. You're just worried that the game that you love and grew up is now becoming a distant thing.
It's not the game. It's not that game now.
It's not that game though, is it? It's not that game isn't changing. The game that we love isn't changing. It's taking
how's it not changing?
But it's taking into account kids.
You can't tackle. Oh, come on, seriously.
No. What I'm saying.
How many kids have gone to the FA and said, "Oh, how many kids has the FA seen and said, listen, that kid's all over the place. He's been heading the ball." You've just said it yourself. Kids don't even know how to head the ball. My kids used to jump up for the head, and the head would go on the shoulders.
Yeah.
So if we're going to do that, then we might as well just cancel a game of football, because if the centre forward hits a shot and it hits a kid in the face, but then you can't have contact in the face. The game, these people, honestly, we're becoming a woke society where you can't have jokes anymore. You can't play football. You can't tackle.
He's gone. The head has gone.
Honestly, it's getting to a stage now where. Leave the fucking game alone. You've already killing it with fucking VAR. You're already killing it. You're killing the game. I mean, honestly, we spoke before the pandemic and nearly kicked in, Jay. We spoke more about the VAR decisions and bad decisions, and they're killing the game of football. They're trying to tweak something that doesn't need tweaking.
My worry, and Tank was about 2 minutes away from talking about censorship and getting onto vaccines there. I reckon vaccines are going to come out there.
Djokovic.
No, don't get started on the...
Don't.
But what I was going to say, like, I'm kind of in the middle, not to be a shithouse here, but like if there is a concern for kids, look, I don't think it's a huge deal. But what I would say is... like it's not comparing apples to apples. I think the game has evolved. Look, young kids don't need to be heading balls. To be honest, there's ways of working around it. But then, is there going to be a part of the game that's missing in terms of development when you reintroduce it back at a later stage? I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how it pans out. I would be worried, like Tank, though. Deep down, I have this, whether it's old school mentality or whatever, where it's, if it's not broke, don't fix it kind of thing. And football is on a very it's going to become, but once these things start, Jimmy, it's like a domino effect.
How can you say they're not changing football?
Not. I mean, they've got to be, and again, we're speculating here, but surely there's got to be medical studies somewhere that are saying a repeating heading of the football from age 8 to 36, because that's what you're doing, aren't you? You're playing from 8 till 36. Even 40, in my case. 30, yeah. So, that there's got to be studies saying that you are constant, whether it's new balls, old balls, they can't just go, right, no heading, just because just because we say so.
I'm telling you now, there's no studies from kids. There's
No,
no kids. There's no kids, and the studies are all from older generation players. That's where the studies come from. You know, it's okay. So we should be looking at the likes of Alan Shearer and players like that who were, you know, your Tony Adams. I played with Matty Elliott and Jerry Taggart, who used to pummel the ball with their head. None of them are being tested and studied on. They're going back from the plays from back in the age when the balls are flyaways now. I'd love to kick one of them now. I'd score about 30. Well, I wouldn't, but you know what I mean. I'd have more shots. I'm telling you now.
You wouldn't.
Well, no, I wouldn't.
You put it honestly,
the game, as we know, is it's on the way out with these idiots. It's on the way out. And from a coach's perspective, here, it's you're going to be coaching kids from the age of 6 to 12 not to head of the ball and then flip a switch and go, oh, by the way, forget what we've said to you there. Now you've got to head the ball. Now they're putting balls in the box. Now you've got to defend and get your head on it. So what are we going to do from the age of 8 to 12? Because there's some decent 11-year and 12-year-old footballers out there, you know, who are playing like years above. You know, players at all academies play 1 and 2 years above the better players. So on their own age group on a Saturday, they're not allowed to head the ball. But if they play up on the Sunday, which some of them do, oh no, you've got to head the ball. You're going to have players duck them and balls come into the box. It's a complete farce. It's a farce.
So we started the podcast off with a bang. That was just meant to be like a nice easing our way in and to continue the theme.
Getting redder and redder as that section went on.
See that? That'll be your kid next season. That'll be your kids next season.
For those listening and not watching on YouTube, Tank just showed a picture of an American footballer with his helmet on and all his padding on. Look, it's a conversation for another day, but I would worry that in 10 years' time, football is going to be like basketball. But that's a path I feel like we might be going down. But anyway, don't get me started on that because I'll go on about tackling all day. More rule changes. Jim, I'm going to stay with you. The Premier League now are introducing the multi-ball rule. Don't know if you've seen this one coming out. So 10 balls could be in use there must be 10 balls in use at each Premier League game, called the multi-ball system. And the purpose of this is to speed the game up and stop time wasting. Your reaction to that?
Good idea. I don't understand why anyone could be against it. Like, if you're playing more, I think because the average game of football, the ball's not in play, obviously for 90 minutes, is it? I think it's like 50 minutes the ball's in play for, and obviously when teams, I mean, this would be a great thing for Liverpool if they're playing a team at the bottom and they're losing 1-0. And there's 10 minutes to go, because what happens? Ball boys kick balls and not arse, are they? And clubs will get fined if they're not on it on the ball boys. So I think it could be a good thing, mate. I think there's certain stipulations around it, like the player's got to be making eye contact for the ball to come in. You can't just be pinging balls, so one guy can't have 10 balls coming at his face like an orgy, but it's I think I don't see why it should be. I think it'd be a good thing.
10 balls coming at your face like an orgy. Did you just casually drop in there? Yeah. So we've had Barry Manilow, orgies. Are you all right with this one, Tank? Is this just to see off the days of the likes of a Neil Warnock who'd be telling ball boys to boot the ball up into the top of the stand?
Look, we want to see the ball and play more, but you're just going to have, like you've just hit the nail in there, you're going to have our last managers who just say to the kids, because they'd just be all the academy kids who were on the pitch and they'd just be told don't throw the ball back. But listen, it's a nothing rule in it. It's nice because, we want to...
I think there's stipulations, though, Tank. Like, I think there's if you don't do it, there's punishments.
Yeah,
I don't know what they are.
It's going to be difficult to push them punishments on, is it? Because the clubs are just saying, well, look, we told the kids, and the kid's just not giving the ball. He's like, he doesn't know what to do. He's starstruck. He's this, that, and the other. It's just one of them where the stipulations, but try and stick them on them. You're not going to get it. And I must say, I do think that this is only helping the big boys again. I do think it's only helping the big. Well, I just think if you Jimmy
takes away the leveler. Takes away the leveler.
Booting the ball out the stadium and have to go get
it. If you're say a Norwich City from last season and you're clinging on for dear life against Man City, at home. Norwich are at home. They're clinging on for dear life against Man City. They're trying a bit of time wasting. They're kicking balls out of the stand. They're telling the ball boy not to give it. And all of a sudden, there's 10 balls available for Man City. And Norwich aren't getting that little breather just to like reset and get in shape. It's just kind of, for me, it's a rule what's just there designed to help the big boys.
It's funny because when you say that, I think there's some truth in that, in that the dark arts are a beautiful, beautiful thing, and it is. Some of these teams just can't compete now, especially with some of the the top two teams are in a league of their own at the moment, and you've got to try and look for these little marginal gains as the I don't want to say smaller teams, but the teams at the bottom of the table. But I'm going to give an example now of the best version of a time wasting team, and it was actually ironically a team at the top of the table. It was actually Jose when he brought Chelsea to Anfield. When Liverpool were on the march to the title, and he just suffocated Liverpool's rhythm. It completely stopped the flow of the game. And I suppose for those teams that might want to do something similar, Jim, it probably takes the power away from them being able to do that.
Yeah, I guess it does, mate, but I don't mind seeing that. And if look, the Premier League's a Premier League. If that's what you're doing to survive, then something's wrong. Do you know what I mean? I get it. I get that by any means necessary. But if that's what you need to do, there needs to be serious questions asked. And I get it. Yeah, it probably is in line for the big boys. But it doesn't mean that Norwich v Aston Villa when 19th or 17th versus 18th, and they're fighting to get out the bottom of the. They're going to want the balls on quicker, aren't they? So, I get that. Sometimes the big boys want to get on and score, but there's also close games towards the bottom as well. So
I want to, there's a couple of, because we got some cracking listener questions, and I've actually put far too much on tonight's agenda, right? So I want to come to you on this one, Tank. Tick the Liverpool box, and then we can move on, right? Because this is, I'll hold my hands up. This has got me very, very rattled. And Jimmy's moving his glasses there like he's going to get up to no good in the next 5 minutes. And there's a potential, particularly in this heat.
You didn't even acknowledge my tweet the other day.
No, I didn't, because it annoyed me. And this is what I mean. I'm very sensitive around this topic, right? And I'm warm. And when I'm warm, I become a grumpy bastard. So I'm roasting it.
With the missus.
Oh, hey, steady. Well, she'll never listen to this. Look at that.
That's almost as bad as my shot with his neighbours. Paint the fence, you prick.
But on the topic of Liverpool, right? There's something that's obviously been breaking over the last week, and that is very much around Liverpool's new signing, Mr. Nunez himself. And I'll be honest, Tank, I find it absolutely mad that Darwin Nunez has played less than an hour for Liverpool.
Yeah, and he's finished.
He's finished, yeah. Less than an hour for Liverpool. He been on holiday. He had 3 days training. By all accounts, and it does look, I'm not trying to make loads of excuses here, but like he had blisters on his feet. We've all had them in pre-season. They're absolutely horrible. Wait, Jim, wait. He's giddy and it's going to annoy me. But I just find it mad that there's this clamor now on social media to paint this guy as some type of buffoon. Like, I think a fair thing as a Liverpool fan to be like, well, okay, a traditional number 9. How does he fit into Liverpool's system? The connections don't quite seem there, which is totally understandable. We're basically in training games at the moment. Have those type of conversations. But there's people literally comparing him to, like, the most awful football. Andy Carroll, I think, was Jimmy's done the Andy Carroll shouts. Paddy Power did the Andy Carroll shouts. And it, like, you've just seen how, like, this swarm on social media has absolutely blown my mind. The guy's played 70 minutes of football.
It's ridiculous. We just got off a plane, from God knows where. All of them have, it's comical. But and do you know what makes me laugh more than anything as well is I've seen some comments. I mean, have you seen the comments about Reece James as well? I'll come back to Nunez in a minute. Reece James,
his own goal.
Yeah, I mean, if you've seen the own goal,
it
just looks like it's kind of popped up and it's an own goal.
Yeah.
What are they saying?
Have you seen some of the Chelsea fans? Some of the comments. I mean,
what were they saying?
Like, some of the stuff I was reading in the paper this morning. It was like one Chelsea fan, his thing on Twitter was a Chelsea badge. Was like, he's possibly the worst fullback
really
in the Premier League. How anyone compares him to Trent, he is woeful. The most, and like the rant, and I'm like, mate, this fella just needs to get a life. And what makes me laugh is half of these comments are from people who couldn't kick a ball. They can't kick a ball, but they're experts on social media. But going back on Nunez, I mean, look, you're talking to someone who, my career was a nightmare, an absolute nightmare with blisters. I'm being honest. It was one of the things what I suffered, like you wouldn't believe.
And you've got such nice feet now.
I've got beautiful feet, but honestly, I used to have pre-season was basically no skin on the underneath of my feet. So I've had to play when you're like that, and you can't play football when you're like that, especially when the grounds are rock hard like they were. But it's comical, mate. I mean, the lads, it must be sat there looking, going, I've missed one chance in a game, and all of a sudden I'm Andy Carroll. Yeah. And it's laughable, mate. But unfortunately, the social media platforms give them all. I mean, Harry Maguire, you know, by all accounts, Man United have been running hard, training before games. He's a big unit, and he's had a bit of a poor game for Man United. And the abuse he took, it was like, come on, it's pre-season. You don't even look at results. 9 times out of 10, you're running before the game. We used to play a game like on a Tuesday night. We do a full track day Tuesday morning. And it's just getting your legs going.
Well, this is the thing, and Jim, Peter Harty sent in a question around this topic, and he says, why do we now have so much exposure of pre-season friendlies and new signings being written off after a 25-minute run-out? It's ridiculous. When I was a kid, nobody had any interest in clubs' pre-season arrangements and friendly fixtures. Is there a case here, Jim, of too much content isn't necessarily a good thing? Because everyone's had the stinker in training. You know what I mean? We've been there with each other when we couldn't hit a barn door in training. You know, but no one's seeing these things. It's perfectly normal. I'd say, and I'm guessing here, Tank, some of your teammates maybe come back a little bit out of shape after their summer holidays, you know, back in the day. And no one's filming them and throwing stones at them. Do you know what I mean? So Jim, is it a case of this? Look, you give anything to rival fans and they'll run up a narrative. They've found an opportunity and they've just literally ran with it.
I think so, mate. Yeah, I mean, I agree with both you and Tang. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. But what I will say is this is the issues that you get when you make big money signings. And luckily, from the looks of it, he seems, well, as he said himself, he's pretty resilient, isn't he? So, you know, this is where most, you know, we went through the top 10 signings on here not long ago, and I think we said at least only 2 were a success out of the British record transfers. And it's a world we live in, you know, social media world, people filming everything, get to see everything. You know, if something happens in the world, what's the first thing you do? Search Twitter to find it. And someone somewhere will have a video of it. So, unfortunately, mate, it's a world we live in, and you know, can't sit here being hypocrites doing a podcast on YouTube when, you know, when we criticize. What you can do is, and the issue you've got with social media is give everyone a voice, and not everyone with a voice say, you know, agrees with the right thing, but people say things just to get reactions because they've seen people become famous from it. And I think this is what a lot of this is, and they've seen a little inch in Darwin Nunez where, like you say, he's off the plane, doesn't speak the language, blisters, you know, struggling. And
what's a bad miss, though?
Hey?
What's a bad miss?
Look, mate, if he's missing them in the season, then there's questions to be asked, isn't there? That's, you know. And
can we just say something? No, I mean, I did send you a video before of that Man United centre after Ichel fella getting up the car, but that's the world we live in.
That's what I'm saying, mate. You've got to be resilient for it, and it can wind you up. And the problem with you, Jamie, is that you've got the world's shortest fuse. So you know it doesn't take much to wind you up.
It's just Liverpool.
You've just got to brush it off, haven't you, and just get on with it, and then hopefully shut them all up with 25, 30 goals for the season.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I think Liverpool's my kryptonite. It just, don't know. You always can get a quick bite. I'm very chilled aside from Liverpool, Jim. No, I'm getting more mellow in my old age now.
I don't know. You put a few windows through.
Oh no! Anyway, right. Let's move on to the next topic. Which, Tank, I want to come to you because this question come in from our mate Albert. We can always rely on him to send in a cracker. And you've done a little bit of prep on this one, which I'm delighted to say. So, Albert's question.
Just before he answers, I just want to say that I am here, Albert, just by the way. If you want me to go, I'll get my coat.
So, this one for you, Tank. And Jim, you can throw in your opinions on Tank's team if you want, if it makes you feel better, mate. You all right? All right.
Tank's the man.
So the question is, hi guys, love hearing Tank talk about his playing days, particularly when he speaks about how impressive the likes of Ronaldinho and Okocha were. So I'd love to hear him name a greatest 11 of players he's played against or with and give insights into the players too. So Tank, 1 to 11, who's made the cut?
Well, I don't what I tried to, because it's easy just to sit here and rattle names off the biggest names you have played against. But what I've tried to do is the players who I played with, and I'll come to the midfield in a minute and I'll explain why. But obviously the goal.
So this is played with.
This is
teammates.
played with. No,
yeah,
this is played. I've done a mix of match mates. I've done like the most difficult who were played against and played. So it's both. It's what Albert asked basically. Okay. So in goal, I've gone for Schmeichel. Just for me.
Not a bad start.
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
I was going back to school goalies under 12s here. It was like, little Steve was a cracker.
Just for me, I think he transformed the game of goalkeeping. He just become this monster, and he was almost unbeatable. I did beat him, I must say that. So that's all. That was in the 1-1. The 1-1, man.
The 1-1, yeah. Okay, 1-1. Yeah. Moving on, yeah.
So, and me left back. I mean, I've got to give Shu Pearce a mention. He was the greatest for me. I idolised him. He was unbelievable, but he doesn't make the team. Unfortunately, he doesn't make the team because.
No. Is this where Tank picks himself?
No.
Tank's in. Tank's 1 to 11.
For me, the greatest left back that's ever played football, bar none, and another one for me, I've never seen anyone go past the lad. It's Ashley Cole. He was just, for me, the greatest fullback of our generation.
Yeah, I always remember that battle with Ronaldo. You remember that one in the Euros? Yeah. That was unbelievable. That.
But the thing about him as well, for me, it was never a battle because Ronaldo couldn't go past him, even in the Premier League.
Times he did do him, but not on a regular basis.
So, and then the centre half, I went for Rio Ferdinand. I just always thought he was a Rolls Royce of a player. He was class from top to bottom. And then the other centre half is the captain of my Forest side, Colin Cooper. He was just phenomenal on and off the pitch. Everything he done. Yeah, he was a leader. He was a captain. He trained like you should do, and he just set an example both on and off the pitch. Great captain, great fella, great pro. And for me, he was a great player. He was an England international. Not the biggest neither. He was only 5'9" maybe, but what a player he was. Right back is Gary Kelly.
Ooh, okay.
I played quite a bit in my career. I played as a wide left as well, and
our Irish listeners will like that one, Tank.
Yeah. No, look, he was the one player who every fullback who I played against, I always fancied myself because I had the pace and power, and he was the one player who I'd always. You'd have to go by him another way, and I just always found him so difficult to get by. In fact, I'm not too sure many times I did actually get by him.
Played in good Leeds teams as well, I seem to remember over the years, didn't he?
He was always
exceptional Leeds teams.
Yeah. Uncle of Ian Hart.
Yeah. Another good player, Ian Hart. Yeah.
Knowledge, Jim.
There you go.
So in midfield.
What formation you going?
I've got 4-3-3, three midfielders. In midfield, another one of my Forest teammates. And a lot of people are quite surprised at this, but as a fullback, he was always there. When you're in a little bit of shit and you can't hit your wing, you can't hit your front man, and you always just used to hear this little squeaky voice, yes, Tank. Scott Gamble, always there. Always. And he'd get the ball, he'd turn, he'd switch it, and he was just... I don't think I've ever seen him give the ball away.
Really?
And he was just always there, and he could do everything. He could score, he could tackle, he could track back.
He'd take it in any situation. He wouldn't.
Honestly, you'd be times where you're in a pile of shit and you just go bang, have some of that, and then all of a sudden he's gone out the other side and got away with it.
I'm just laughing. I was going to say, I see Jimmy's face when I said he can take it in any situation. And Jimmy went, "Oh, hello."
There we go. There we go. And then the other one, for me, one of the best players I've ever played with, if not possibly is Mudgy Is It.
Leicester City. Mustard he was.
Honestly, Muzzy was fucking small, light and small, but there was nothing he couldn't do. Nothing.
He scored some absolute bangers in as well, didn't he?
He scored that little patch to score his screamers.
Yeah.
Honestly, he was an absolute unbelievable footballer, and he could tackle, he could defend, he'd score, he'd assist, he was just a phenomenal football player.
Didn't get the credit he deserved, you think?
I think he does at Leicester, but I don't think he does outside of the game. Where you know, he could have moved to big clubs quite a few times, and he stayed at Leicester. Don't get me wrong, that Leicester they paid him well, but a phenomenal player, just an absolute phenomenal footballer. And in that, I've got to put Steven Gerrard, for me, the greatest midfield player that's played the game for a long, long time.
How old was he when he was coming on the scene then, Tank? He must have been young, wasn't
he? Well, he would have been young, yeah, but you knew, you know what I mean? You just knew there was...
Strikes it different.
He's just, yeah, he was like, you know, I was rapid, but he had a different kind of speed. He was like power, where you think you're getting away from him, and then you kind of like, you're thinking, oh, mate, you still there him. And then he'd be coming and coming and coming. Like, I was just like all pure pace. He was like power. But he was just, you know, you don't have to say nothing about him. He was just phenomenal. So, yeah, that's me midfield three. Me right side of the three, and I'm just going purely on the basis that I found him the most difficult footballer I've ever faced in my whole career. Would not give you a minute's peace. Attacking you, running behind you, and when you bomb him forward, he stuck with you, he defended, and I just found him impossible to play against. Ray Parlour. Just honestly, he'd match your run forward, and he'd take you back where you don't want to go, and he was just like, I always come off the pitch, played against him, like, gone, physically gone, just couldn't get nothing out of him.
It probably tells you a lot about how good he was, in that you think of the transformation that Wenger made at Arsenal, and all the players he brought in, yet Parlour was pretty much a mainstay for Wenger in his time there.
Yeah.
And to be fair to him, he puts away some bevies. Now, have you seen his Twitter profile? Yeah. He's like sinking Jaeger bombs at like Friday, 12 o'clock, and he's still in fantastic shape. He's like an Adonis, and he must be what? What's he, 50s now? Early 50s?
Well, I'm 45. He's got to be 50. He must be.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a nightmare to play against, an all-round nightmare. Centre forward, it's only one, isn't it? Alan Shearer. Possibly the greatest centre forward. There was a toss-up.
I thought Pierre was going to get the nod. I thought you were going to...
Yeah, he went and striked the prick. So, and to be honest with you, before Pierre, I had to put Kevin Campbell before Pierre, because Cam was just like... He was our go-to guy as well for us, but I don't think you can. Alan Shearer for me is the greatest number 9. He had everything.
Do you think his number will ever get toppled, lads, Jim? Do you think that the Shearer's number, because Kane's got his numbers inside, I suppose.
He's got to score 20 goals, hasn't he, for the next 6 seasons?
He's not doing that, is he? I don't
think so. Like he's probably got 2 or 3 more seasons where he's going to score 20 odd, and then I think he'll struggle from that point out. But, mate, his numbers are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Right. And the last one, Tank?
The last one for me, mate, and it was just the fact. I mean, look, we played against them at the opening Leicester City's ground, and it was Ronaldinho. I mean, I've just never seen anything like him in my life. I mean, his legs were the size of my whole body now, as I am now, and he was just like, he was on a different stratosphere to. I mean, they had some players on the pitch as well that day, but he was on a different stratosphere. He was like playing his own game of football, and nobody could get near him. You know,
what was the plan there when you? Because I assume, and I
assume kick him into next week, but
could you even get near him to kick him? That's the thing.
Yeah, but my plan, like, I've tried to smash him, and he's the only player who I've actually bounced off and was like, "What the fuck has just happened? Who's hit me?" And then I'm looking, and he's just rolling his foot on the ball as if to say, "You all right down there?" And he was just like, "You're like, oh, well, you know, what else can I do now? I've tried to kick him and he's done me." But he was a freak, mate, and it was actually a pleasure to be on the same pitch.
Yeah, that's definitely one to tell the grandkids. Jim, I'm going to come to you here, because we got another question, and it's closely linked on the blog. For those that haven't checked out the blog, we fired it up again, so go check it out. Who's got a dog in there? Is that yours, Jim? Is it?
Neighbours, mate. Sorry.
Do you want to throw something over the fence there? Tell him to shut up, or what?
Oh, mate, I have it all day.
Oh, is this a bit of a bone of contention for you? You're not happy, Jim? That bastard dog's back. I can see it in your face.
I'll tell you a story, but they probably can hear me.
Okay. Tell me later. So we got a question in from Yoza, and Yoza said, All right, lads, great. Listen, can you build your perfect footballer you've played with? Right foot, left foot, passer, tackler, captain, Mardos, and skill. Now, I think yours is a mate of yours, is he, Jim? So
Yeah, Lee Yozza Hughes, mate.
Yeah, shout out to him. Thanks for listening, mate. Jim, do you want to pick this one up? Is there any particular players? It's tough act to follow here now with Ronald.
It is, and I'll be honest, because someone asked me the other day who like the best players I've ever played against. I never took in these surroundings. I literally turned up,
like
played
you
football,
honestly
and
hate
went
stuff
home.
like that.
I literally did, just did my thing and went home. Like I never took into account who I was playing against. I bet I'm pretty sure I played against Rooney, and when I was younger, we were the same age, and all that. But I just never take these things in. I just
to be honest, for context, Jim is the most laid back, like the opposite to me. Like he's not asked about anything. I'd be like, I tried to get him asked. I'm like, Jim, this is a big game today. He's like, mate, I don't care. Like I don't get. I'm like, what?
Just do your thing and off you go, innit? Like, and so even picking this, like. Players I've played with, I'm thinking like, oh God, who have I played with? Like, and I can't remember, and my memory is awful as well. But I've had a go. So he's gone right for Annie. So I played with a lad called Joe Booth that filed, and he had a decent right peg on him, so he could play a ball or two. So he was a good lad as well. He loved the beer, so.
I didn't get the right footed shout. Thanks, Jim. Didn't get the right footed shout.
You're further down the line, lad. Wait
there. Go on, I'm coming. Yes.
Listen, keep that saying to the orgies, mate. Fucking hell.
Jesus.
Left foot. I've gone for Brownie, for how much Carl Brown. He did have a decent left peg on him. But thinking back, I didn't play with that many left footers, or I just didn't take into account. There was a couple honourable mentions. Ricky Bridge, obviously Ricky. But other than
Carl Brown's a funny one, Tank. He was at Derby County, and he told me a story. He was on he'd been training with the first team, and they had they do the patterns of play, or they might do the 11 versus the rest of the squad that in the build up to the game. And he was in the 11. I think he was playing wing back, I think, and. It was before the times of the transfer window. He was due to make his debut, and I think Derby went out and signed Danny Higginbottom just before the game, put him straight in. Brownie didn't get the nod, and then I think he went off to Getafe. Then I think, he nearly made his debut, and then it never got a look in after that.
Small margins in football, mate,
isn't it? Go on, Jim. Last couple.
Yeah, passer Timmy Sanders always could find a pass. I mean, I'm being honest here. I could pick myself for all of these if I'm being honest.
Tank, I'm being serious now when I say this. He's annoying in that he's never asked, he doesn't care, but he has more ability in his fingernail than I have in my hot. Like I'd be looking at him do things, and I'm like, Jim, that is absolutely ridiculous. But his head would there was something. The wires didn't join up yet. That spark just wasn't there.
If I had the drive, mate, if I had the right drive, if I had the right mentality, I could have been a player. There
was once, Tank, sorry to trample on your point, Jim, but I love this story. We were playing against, I can't even remember who we were playing against, but he had the ball, right? And if you did get him a little pissed off, he could be a slightly bit prickly, but just in an annoying way. So he'd beat someone and then he'd go and beat him again just to annoy them, because they've been winding him up. And at one point, he had 3 lads chasing him, and he just stopped. Jim just stopped, picked the ball up and said, I'll just give you the ball. He literally handed them the ball. I was like, oh my God. Sorry, Jim, I had to tell that.
It's all right, mate. I love these stories. So you're in as my tackler, bud. You're in as my tackler. So, because I didn't play with many tacklers,
That's a bit harsh that he's put you in and said, but I'm only put you in because I didn't play with many. Let him have his moment, Jimmy.
No. He'd put it. If there's anyone that you knew would die on a pitch for you, it was Jamie. You knew that he would go out and run through brick walls for you. Hence why he'd always get sent off fighting my battles.
Yeah, that was very true, actually.
I was going to put you as captain as well, but I didn't bother. I've gone for a lad called Dan Hyde, who I played with quite a few times. He was a good captain, always driving the team on. And Mardos and Skiller, I have gone for myself for both.
Yeah, I was going to say you should pick yourself for that.
Yeah, definitely the Mardos, because it was. I was racking my brains. I thought, fucking hell, it's just me. There's only me that I can think of. And then, yeah, same for Skills. You know, there was a few that I played with that were all right, but you know, they didn't have the step overs that I had. So
yeah, you got a few in the locker, lad, haven't you?
Yeah, but other than that, mate, like I said, I will be my biggest regret that I died is that I didn't take more into account when I was playing football. Like, you know, like programs and medals and like newspaper clippings and all that sort of stuff. It's that'll be my biggest regret.
Yeah,
and something that I'll never pass on to my kids because I'll do it for them.
Yeah, I have a little orange book that actually is under my bed now that has all the newspaper clippings. Before we move on to the next topic, I'll just do a quick one for me, and it's I'm only going to call out a couple in the essence of time, but there was left foot, Leighton Baines. Like I remember playing against Leighton Baines, and it was different. He was playing for a very good Kirby team, Tank. So you know when you used to do like it'd be like Wirral, Merseyside, Kirby, whatever. And like I was the right winger at the time. And he was a real sound, good kid. He wasn't a prick. Some of the lads from Kirby could be a bit intense. He was just a real good lad. But when he pinged the ball, it was like he was running the game from left back. Yeah. Wherever he hit the ball, it just made a different sound. Then right foot, Darren Potter. And so he was in I think he was at Sheffield Wednesday up until recently. I think he was in Liverpool Champions League squad when in Istanbul. Obviously didn't play, but he was in the squad. It was funny. He played centre mid against me, and usually if someone was better than me and I knew quite quickly, like you with Ronaldinho, Tank, you'd level it up and try and get in the red or whatever. Like if I played against Jimmy, I say this all the time. Jimmy's way better at me at footy, but I reckon I could try and put him off his game or get him a little rattled or something. This Darren Potter, like I couldn't even he was 3 steps ahead. So before the ball had even been into his feet, he popped it off round the corner. He'd spun and I'm stood there going, and I'm thinking, shit, I can't get close to this lad. And it blows my mind thinking how good he was that night. And then you think of the levels of the actual top players. And I'm like, how can it get better than that? You know what I mean? It's nuts. And then just one final shout out to a guy called Carl Clampett, who was my captain at Wirral. He was at Liverpool. He went to Hearts. He had problems with injuries. I'm telling you what, if there was one player who had the talent to go all the way, it was him. He was an absolute monster. And he just used to scream at me. Just never let me settle. He just drove the whole team on, and he was a monster of a player. Now, I want to get back to some of the other topics that we had listed.
Don't mention me.
Well, I just gave you loads of compliments there, Jim. I also know how to manage you, mate. You can't give you too many compliments. You know what I mean? Tank, I want to come to you because you mentioned something interesting there before when you were talking about Colin Cooper, and that was his size. And obviously, Manchester United have made the signing now at centre-back. Martinez has come in, and I believe he's 5'9". Do you think that obviously works against him? Because I'm guessing if you put Colin Cooper in, who was a similar size, you don't think... Because a lot of people in the media have tried to throw a little bit of mud at his direction. Look, Tim Cahill was one of the best headers of the ball I've seen, and he wasn't a big lad. It's not that much of an issue for you.
No, it's not. I mean, look, the lad's been playing Champions League football, hasn't he, with Ajax? And, you know, they always seem to do quite well at the Champions League. So I don't think it's that much of an issue. I think where he'll have a bit of an issue more so this season is, you know, if he's playing against Liverpool with Nunez, who's 6'4", and Haaland, who's 6'5", with the delivery what Trent Arnold's got and the quality of what Man City's got with De Bruyne, I think he might have a slight issue, yeah. You know, Haaland would be licking his lips only playing against him, you know, with whipping balls into the box. And I'm sure Nunez will be. But taking that aside, I just think the game's not like that at the minute. But I don't know. Part of me says he'd be all right, but the other part of me saying I would never sign a centre half who's 5'9".
Never.
Do you think? Do you think
no centre half that was 5'9"?
Oh, I know where he's going with this one. I can see the look in his eye. He's going to drop a Cannavaro or something there, are you, Jim?
Cannavara's 5'9", mate.
No. I'm just saying, like, I know there's been, you know, Colin Cooper, he's in my team there. He was a phenomenal player, but he was also phenomenal in the air. You know, he could jump 8 foot. You know, he was phenomenal in the air. I'm not saying that, but, you know, I just think, you know, we never played against the quality. I don't think anyone could say we played against the quality of Trent Arnold, what he puts in the box, because for me, he's the best that's ever done it. And now you've got Haaland coming in, who I'm excited to see Haaland this season. I mean, some clips from Man City, Dave, you've seen some of the snapshots of him. I mean, ridiculous. In the air, he's about 40 foot in the air. And I'm just thinking, as a 5'9" centre half, if I'm Ten Hag, I'd be thinking, ooh, don't really. I got his name right there as well.
Oh, look at this.
I don't really, I don't fancy him against. And I'll tell you what's another concern for me while I'm on a little bit of a rant today. There's already talks about him now playing as a deep line centre midfield player.
So you don't think he's you said that as well, Jim, didn't you? He's not. You don't think he's coming in as a centre back?
No, I don't think he has either. To be no, I think he has actually. Sorry.
Yeah, because it's funny when I look at it, I'm kind of thinking, and we seen it the other day, Maguire, and again pre-season to take it with a pinch of salt. But United played, Maguire's back in the side. Ten Hag's obviously looking to push that back line up, and poor Maguire, lads. I don't know if you've seen the clips. Like he just looked. I nearly feel bad for him at this stage because you're asking him to do everything that he's not comfortable with. So I thought, a player who's played under Ten Hag before. Jim, you bring him in, surely he'll know how he wants him to play. He's comfortable with the space in behind. But yeah, as Tank says, it looks potentially like maybe he's going to come in that deep line midfield role.
Possibly, mate. I mean, Ten Hag's obviously got a plan for him, but no one knows what it is. So I think we're just going to have to wait and see with him. With his size, I don't think it matters. I think football's changed from whipping balls in and Beckham on the right, pumping balls into Van Nistelrooy and whatnot. So I think I don't think it would be as much of an issue as you think about it from days gone by. And as I said, there's Colin Cooper, 5'9", Cannavaro, 5'9", World Cup winner.
Do you think we're starting to see the resurgence, Tank, now? Because football's cyclical in a way. So you'll have an in vogue formation where all managers tend to move towards a particular shape. We've obviously seen, I think 4-3-3 has dominated for a while. You see it now more 3 at the back. Do you think we're now starting to see maybe the resurgence of the big number 9?
I do.
Think that coming back in?
I do, and it's kind of like. It's the two best sides who've gone out and made these adjustments. It's Liverpool and Man City's kind of like, both of them have targeted a big number 9 this season. And for me, it's been Liverpool and Man City was the leaders in getting rid of the number 9. Because we've had Firmino, he just used to go everywhere. You couldn't really hold him down to a position. He wasn't even a false 9 because we'd be picking the ball up in the right wing back spot, the left wing back. He's everywhere. And then you'd have Salah, and it's similar with Man City. Man City, for me, have been phenomenal since Aguero. Look, listen, Aguero's one of the greatest centre-forwards that's ever played football. But I think Man City went on to another level when Aguero come out that side because nobody could handle the rotation of De Bruyne, Silva, Sterling, Foden, Mahrez. It was just kind of like they just do where they go and no one actually knew where to pick up. And all of a sudden now you've got like, bang, Haaland, big 6'5" number 9, and you've got Nunez, big 6'4" number 9. And as you say, it does go in cycles, but it's one of them for me where the way I look at this signing for Manchester United is quite a lot of big clubs like your Chelseas, your Man Cities, they're all looking for centre backs this season. They've all been looking, to strengthen in that area. And no one's ever been linked or mentioned with this lad at all. And is it another one of them where Man United going out and just they're that desperate to get a centre half and that they've just paid 55 million for the lads who, I'm being honest with you,
as well,
yeah, but I'm not too sure.
It's funny, Jim. You look at this, and it's obviously transfer silly season at the moment. I think that maybe we're all in agreement. There's one club that I think have done some smart deals, and that's Chelsea. They seem to, Raheem Sterling, and I put it in the blog this week. I thought, 310 grand a week, surprised me a little bit. He's obviously going to be one of the top earners, if not the top earner at Chelsea. But I think the one thing that Raheem Sterling probably feels he deserves is status. And I don't feel that he probably got that at Manchester City. I think he's excelled for England when he's been given that kind of leadership role. And I think it's a smart move by Chelsea. And then obviously they've gone out and got Koulibaly as well, who
about Kimpembe as well from PSG.
Yeah, because I think they were supposedly after Ake, but I think City have put the shutters down on that one. And Kimpembe now is somebody that they're after. So Chelsea seems to be doing smart business, do you think?
Yeah, very much so. I think
Koulibaly at 31 will still be a beast. He'll be one of them players that will go like Thiago Silva and keep going. He's an absolute tank. Sterling, I think, is a great signing, regardless of 310 grand a week. He's 27 years old. He's won the Premier League.
How is Sterling 27 years
God
old?
knows, man. He's like
Cerebral West syndrome again.
Yeah, he's just going backwards. So you got Sterling. I think if they make a big centre forward signing to replace Lukaku and to be able to rotate with Timo Werner, I think you then start going, hang on a second here. I think that will be the missing piece. I don't think they've got that out and out goal scorer yet. And if they can get that, then
you say that, Jimmy. Look at Sterling's record in the past 5 seasons. He's an out and out goal scorer.
He is.
I mean,
but
I think we can
middle, though, is he? And who have they got down the middle apart from, because Timo Werner just runs offside. Like, don't get me wrong, he's a great player.
Won't play, will he? You think he's a great player, Timo Werner?
I think he is a great player, and this is don't forget.
Hang on,
this is
Timo Werner is a great player.
If I'm a Liverpool fan, I'm using Timo Werner as a worry when I'm looking at Nunez, because Timo Werner in the Bundesliga was absolutely unbelievable, and then come to Chelsea and has been an absolute flop. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he's playing well, but he is a good player. There's a player there somewhere.
So he's a good player now.
No, you know what I mean. I'm saying he's
honestly, mate, I'm still stuck on Timo Werner's a great player.
He's a great player. He's not playing well.
Shit.
He's not playing well, but he's a player in there.
Over here and is absolutely car crashing.
But my point is, if they go out and out goal scorer, I think if they sign a proper number 9, then they challenge.
I think they challenge anyway. With the
they should do. I think they'll tail off because I don't think they'll score as many goals as everyone else. When Liverpool have got Nunez and Haaland, plus their wingers scoring goal, and Chelsea have only got a couple of wingers scoring goal, because they're talking about that young lad from Southampton, aren't they? Who was on loan at Southampton? I can't remember his name.
Borgia. Is it? But
so they're talking about him being spearheading the
no, he's just agreed. He's
to West Ham.
That was it. West Ham, 30 million, hasn't he? But the point is, whether you play Conor Gallagher maybe as a false 9, who knows? But I think if they get a decent number 9 and work out a system, they properly challenge.
Do you know what I think have got a little sneak as well? You're looking at Chelsea there. I think Conte's going to surprise a few at Spurs. He's making smart signings. He's got a good full pre-season with them. He's running the bollocks off them. Look, it's not revolutionary, but he will have them drilled within an inch of their life. Tank, have you been impressed with what you've been hearing from Conte? Because I just think he's a wily old fox. He's a proper driven competitor, and obviously with the finish that they had, I just think he's getting the backing that he craved. He's not afraid to stamp his feet a little bit, and obviously his CV would demand that he gets the support.
I think they're a problem this season. I think they're a problem. I think they're going to be right up there, and I think that they'll be the nearest challengers to City and Liverpool, because he's a born winner. Wherever he goes, he wins. And I just remember his interview at Burnley last season when he kind of said, maybe this job isn't for me. And I think that shit up the powers that be at Spurs, because all of a sudden now he's gone and said, I want him, and bang, they've got them. I think the wing back, can't think of his name from Inter Milan. The Croatian lad.
Don't know.
So, can't think of his name now.
So
I think no.
The can't think of it, or you just can't say it.
No, I can't think of his name.
Dave, call him Dave.
The Croatian lad. I think he's a shrewd signing. I think he's a proper signing. I just think with the formation,
Perisic.
That's him, mate. That's him. And I think the formation he wants to play, he's gone out and signed the players who he needs to play in that formation, like Perisic. And I just think they'll be they'll be one of the fittest sides in the Premier League this season, bar none. And he'll have them drummed in a pre-season, the formation, and where they want to go and where they want to play. And for me, you've got two of the most potent attackers in the Premier League, in Son and Kane as well, who'll score bundles of goals. I think they're a problem.
I think they'll concede too many. I think they haven't got the defence to challenge for the title centrally.
We're not going to do predictions just yet. I think we need to see. We need to see who other clubs bring in, and then before the season starts, just before the curtain raiser, we'll do top 4, top 5 predictions, and then we'll do relegation predictions, and we'll see where we come up. Just one thing before, because I've got a couple of Jimmy's got a couple of questions for us to finish off. But before we do, there's one last thing that I want to bring up, lads. How are Barcelona making signings? What is going on
here? Converters, mate. They're selling all the silverware.
Yeah, what is going on here? I tell you what, I need to get them as my accountants, because 1 minute they're saying they're absolutely skins, then hundreds of millions in debt, and then all of a sudden they're bringing in absolutely world-beating players in Lewandowski. Rafinha's gone in there. They're still trying to make deals on top of it. What's going on there?
They've just, as you just said, mate, they've gone back to the old school, haven't they? And what was that?
It's my Apple Watch. I wasn't getting the shepherd's hook from downstairs.
They've gone back to the old school for me, mate, and they're just writing IOUs.
Yeah,
that's all
monopoly money.
IOU, there you go. But on a serious note, it's like, they can't register now for these players neither. It's like you're signing players, but they actually can't register them with the league to play. I was reading something today. You know, you sent that link. I had a good read what that fella was writing, and it's just bizarre how they've gone round and they're doing it. It's like they're trying to force Frankie de Jong out the club, and he's owed 17 million quid.
Yeah, they were trying to wrap up. Yeah, they were trying to wrap up that as part of payments for any transfers.
3 million. Don't worry about the other 14 we owe you, Frankie. Have 3.
Yeah, you're welcome. It seems mad. It seems like they're selling on, reading between the lines, and Graham Hunter was on TalkSport this morning. He was saying they're basically selling on, I think it was 15% of their future TV rights. I think they've been selling on merchandising rights. I think they've got the Spotify deal. So they're kind of they're banking on future success, I suppose, and kind of freeing up that cash. I kind of suppose it's like equity release on a house in some way, shape or form, I think. But yeah, it just seems like a bit of a mad one. Jim, I want to come to you, mate, to finish, because you've got a couple of questions for the lads.
I had a couple of musings over the weekend. So I was doing some, we're all dads, and we all do jobs around the house, and there's some jobs that I absolutely despise doing. But my job this weekend was jet washing the patios and all that sort of stuff. I was thinking to myself, you know what? I'm actually enjoying this. I don't mind doing it. I have my headphones in, no one bothering me. I was doing my little the TikTok things where you can see it all one dead dark and then it's dead clean. So the question was like, what's that one job where some people probably hate, but you actually don't mind doing? And obviously I've got 2. So one is jet washing, and 2 is mowing my lawn so it looks like Wembley.
You got the real grass, Jim, yeah?
Yeah, real grass, and I get the people round to do all like the feeds and all that sort of stuff. So I want it. It's doing my head in now because it's all dying, obviously, with the sun. It doesn't look as great, but I love mowing it at least once a week just to get the old lines in.
What about you, Tank?
I'm going to be honest with you. For the first time, Jimmy and me are in complete and utter agreement.
Oh, Jesus, what's going on?
The boys.
Mate, I actually, I get a buzz out of jet washing.
Really?
Yeah, it's like, I write my initials and everything on it, and then you shoot it out and you get in the middle. I actually go to full hilt. I don't know whether you do, Jimmy. I go to full hilt, mate. I've got my big wellies on.
Yeah, no, I do my Crocs.
Oh, no, mate, and you get pebble dashed on your legs, and I actually love doing the jet washing. It's like, it's a little thing.
Satisfying.
And listen, I'm a little bit of a lazy fucker here, but me and Frankie, we've got to sit on lawnmower, haven't we? So it's not like lawnmower.
You got a big garden, I saw that.
Yeah. So me and Frankie, that's like our ritual. We do it twice a week. So we just hop on the lawnmower and we go down, bang, do it, then go and do the paddock, and then bang, we're done. It's like, it's not a chore that me and him, he drives it and all that. So it's kind of like, so I've got to be with Jimmy.
So what you're technically saying is you're forcing how old's Frankie now, mate? He's
3 now, mate. He can
3.
work.
So you're sending your 3-year-old out on the tractor to do the grass cutting. Yeah. You missed a bit, Frankie, lad.
He sits on my knee and he stays the tractor, but yeah, it's amazing.
Mine is. So I'm a bit of an OCD clean freak type lad. So I enjoy cleaning. So like headphones on, like I'm funny about kitchens, so like kitchen worktops, glass mirrors. We've got glass doors throughout the house. Like there's nothing, like I really enjoy that feeling. Once I've got a clean kitchen worktop, me glass mirrors are all done and all the windows are like sticky finger free because the kids have been like high-fiving all the glass windows throughout the house. So getting that done. And then the other one would be hoovering. So like you, Jim,
mate, I like
you do the hoovering and you can nearly do the
lines.
stripes. You do the lines.
Yeah.
I don't mind doing that. So yeah, they be my two.
So I'll flip the question then. So what's the one job that you absolutely hate doing where the missus goes, I want this doing? You go, oh, not that again. Mine
Washing and ironing.
Painting mine is.
Oh,
If any, my missus went the other week, oh, I want the fence painted. I was like, oh, you what? Yeah, can you paint the fence? I want it grey. Not thinking that we've got like 50 odd
Your
meters.
Garden's like Mr. Miyagi.
Mate, we've got 50 odd meters of fencing around here. There's still 2 panels not been done. It's been 2 months. I hate it. Painting, whether it's a bedroom, it's anything, I despise it. I tried to get someone in my old house. We had an ensuite, and I swear to God, it was tiny, really small. And the paint had started to chip off the ceiling. I got a guy in to quote for me. He went, no, mate. I was like, what? He's like, no.
Do it yourself, you lazy bastard.
I was like, mate, can you not? I'll pay you. He's like, nah, I'm not even giving you. Didn't even give me a price and walked out the house. I was like, don't want to do it.
What about you, Tag?
Yeah, can't iron, mate. Iron's a major issue for me. A major problem. I actually can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Ironing, but the one I have a real literally, it's like a mental block. Is bed sheets. Fucking hell, bed sheets, mate. I can't.
When they're on the bed.
So what?
Yeah, get them on the bed and then iron it.
You iron the bed sheet
on the bed, yeah, lad.
That's fucking up there with fucking 1, 2, 3, 4. Shit. Your hands melted. That's bizarre.
Friend of the show.
Barbecue the weekend.
Yeah, I had a mate, Steve Brown, friend of the show. Hello, Steve. Sent me a WhatsApp saying he did the 5 shits and it worked.
Yeah, you sent that. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Steve.
Now Steve's now listening to this and ironing his bed sheets on the fucking bed.
Mate, I give good advice.
But yeah, mine is definitely anything to do with washing, ironing, but I cannot, and I've only done it once in my life, and it was when my missus was out a couple of weeks ago, and she got out with the girls, and I went upstairs and I went to go into bed. She was out with the girls, so she wasn't until late, and the bed wasn't made, and I was like proper fuming. I was like dead mad. I was like, right, I'm gonna have to try and get this duvet in the sheet. And I was like, you know that trick where you have to reach through. Yeah, I was like, fucking hell. I got there in the end, but it was like the corner wasn't it wasn't full. So I'm like shaking the bed sheet, trying to get it in there. It was not good. So that
fuming,
mate. My head had gone. Yeah, my head had gone. I was like,
you're punching walls.
You're dead mad texting you. You're not welcome home anymore now after that.
Come back to make the bread.
Fucking fuming. But they were good then, Jim. I enjoyed them, mate.
No worries, mate. I'll think of some more.
Yeah, please do. So, lads, we went over an hour there, which is some going. I have to say, I am absolutely delighted that Tank now has a very good setup. Crystal clear, no issues.
Home room.
Look at this. Mike, you're like a young John Motson now.
Get one of these, lad.
I'll send you one.
Now it's even got the thing where is that to stop the spit going on? It's got the lock.
So when you do podcasts with chewies in your mouth, that's basically that's to stop that. But lads, that was great crack. As always, anybody that is listening, watching, if you wouldn't mind leaving us a review, sending us your feedback. I think all three of us will agree. We've had some lovely messages over the last week or so. We enjoy reading them all, so please do keep them coming. As I said, if you can leave us a rating, any feedback, or even just share the link with a mate, that would be a massive help. In terms of the YouTube subscriber update, I think we're over 800 now. We're trying to get to 1,000. So yeah, we're not a million miles away. So if you haven't watched us on YouTube, give us a try. Just search Boot Room. I'll post the links on the social post and give us a subscribe on there. We've got loads planned for the new season. So yeah, we're looking forward to it. Should be a good one. So with that, I hope you all enjoyed the rest of your week. Make sure you look after yourselves, and we will be back with you next week on the Boot Room podcast. All the best, lads.
Take it easy, boys.